So it doesn't matter if I spiral, if I feel like I'm failing, if I feel like it's the end of the world, I feel like I'm not getting any of my results or whatever that I've been wanting to achieve, that my ego so just craves. My base and my foundation is persistence. Hi beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel Beautiful Awakening with Shantia. Welcome to another episode of the Wake Up Call series. So today I wanted to get into some practical tips that I would like to share with you guys that have worked for me to help me to manifest more of the life that aligns with me and feels true to me. And I also wanted to share a technique, or I guess a couple of techniques that my guides emphasize are very important for me to embrace. And because I'm in this place because I'm at this place in my life right now, I see things a little bit differently. So I want to share with you that wisdom that I've gained. And I don't know about you, but like the last few months, I've been going through, like my guides have been asking me to shift a lot internally within myself, and it has helped for me to get the clarity and the insight that I needed to understand like what I was doing that wasn't working. And I just want to let you guys know, if you're in a place where you're feeling really frustrated and you feel like, oh my gosh, like why am I feeling all these emotions and feelings, use it to your benefit. Anytime we're having reoccurring challenging emotions show up or thoughts show up, it's an opportunity for us to grow. So a breakdown is an opportunity for you to experience a breakthrough. And I know even on days where I spiral and I don't know how to stop it, I'm just like, okay, I guess we're going for it. I know I'm going to have a breakthrough. And that's just been my understanding of having breakdowns, is they all teach you something. But hopefully we can get to a place where we learn how to slow it down or pause a little bit more effectively so that we can ease into better experiences in our life. And most of us, that pause is most needed when it comes to our thoughts, our challenging thoughts and emotions. But usually it starts with a thought and then our emotions fuel it even further. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about more of the practical energy for how you can move your energy. So something you can really, a really good question that you can ask yourself to assess where you're at is understand if something is working. Ask yourself if there's a certain area of life where you feel like something's needing to change. Ask yourself genuinely, is it working? What I've come to find that if it's not working, it's not working. Something's not working. And we can do a million different techniques. We could try to make ourselves like it. We could try to even shift our perception. But typically, transformation happens from the inside out. So we might get the download, or we might start to see something in our life not working in the direction or moving a direction that we want it to. And so we're feeling like, okay, this is not working, right? The first thing would be to go inward first to make that transformation. I want you to know that if you feel like something is not working in your life, it's probably not working. And that's okay. That's okay. Most likely you're just sensing and you're feeling that something really needs to change. What does that mean? Well, if we really break it down to the core of it, that means the energy is needing to shift. Change is calling to you. So I came up with a list of steps that can help you to figure out how you can move your energy. And they're very practical steps. They're very, in a sense, basic, but I feel like we all need that extra reminder for how we can learn how to move our energy. And simplifying it is the best way for me to embrace moving my energy so things can really shift and change in my life. Because I know that we're needing to change and shift. And I was listening to someone today and they were talking about how we're not made to stay the same. And I've been saying this on my channel too. Transformation, you're a natural transcendent butterfly. You're a creative fluid being. You are destined for transformation and you're destined for change. If you're feeling the need to change, it's probably because it's time to change something. So life is never the same ever. Not even what you were doing last week versus what you're doing next week. Like everything is constantly shifting and changing. And learning how to move in connection with, or dancing with the rhythm of life, basically, learning how to move with the change is what's going to help to relieve you. So you're not feeling that constant pressure of needing something to change, but resisting the change. I just kind of want to share with you guys, I'm going to flash it, but this is a vision board I created. I think it was about 2.5 years ago. I created this vision board. I just got a bunch of markers and it was just really quick. I sat down and I wrote down a bunch of things that I wanted to achieve, accomplish, experience in my life. And these are some of the same things I've always dreamt about. These are nothing new for me. And I set it aside. Some people, they like to have it in front of their face. You know, if you like to have a really nice, encouraging vision board in front of you, that's great. I think sometimes it can work against you, just depending, because maybe you're wanting things to change, but things aren't changing as quick as you'd like them to. And that's fine. You know, most of the changes that we really go through, the transformations, like big transformations that we go through, take years. They take years. So we might look to tarot to shift things, but really the tarot is probably showing you what's going to shift or change within the 1 to 2 year period of your life. And you have to be open to that. You have to be open to that. So my step, so that's one of my vision boards. This is another list I had taped. I taped it to the back of a mirror. But this is another list I made years ago. Actually, this was before, how long ago was this? Like 6, 7, maybe like 7 years ago, I made this list of what I wanted to do. And I've achieved, surprisingly enough, a lot of the things on this list. And these are things that I didn't even, it just goes to show we don't really change that much. Most of my goals were the same. And I'm going to share with you guys my tips as to how I was able to achieve certain goals in my lists, because it was the way I approached it. Now, let's get into it. All right, so step 1, notice what is not working in your life. Notice it. Just be aware of it. Feel it. Accept it. I think the one thing that stops people from being able to transform and really embrace change is they're resisting it. They're trying to get in their heads and reason with themselves like, oh no, I shouldn't want this change. Oh, that's too drastic. That's too much. That's too different. I should want to stay the same. No, you are a natural transcendent butterfly. You're destined. You're meant for change. You're meant for transformation. It is one of your inherent gifted qualities. So notice what is not working. Feel into the energy. What feels off for you? So it could be a work situation. It could be a relationship. It could be, you know, you're looking at your relationship and you're thinking, okay, something's missing. Maybe you feel disconnected to that person. Maybe there's a spiritual disconnect that's happening in that connection. Just kind of feel into it. Okay, step 2. So decide what you want to create more of it. So looking at the situation, now decide what are you wanting to experience. It doesn't have to necessarily be associated with this experience. So for example, let's say in your work situation, you want to feel a lot more connected to your coworkers. Well, quite frankly, you don't have to go to another workplace to feel more connected to your coworkers. Maybe you're needing to generate more conversation between you and your other coworkers. Maybe you're needing to ask them, hey, what's going on in your life? Are you interested in the people you're working with? So that they're interested in you, right? So just decide on what's the energy. Like, oh, okay, I want more connection in this. I would like more abundance, more resources. I would like more networking. I would like more access to this, access to that. I would like more free time to do this kind of activity in my life. Just make a note of what you want to experience more of. Step 3. Now, this is the magical step. This is going to make or break your ability to manifest what you want with ease. Set a clear, heart-centered intention that you are happy to commit to and must commit to. So for all of the things I called for in my life, there is always an inherent inner experience I'm wanting to have. So I might say I want a new job, but why am I wanting a new job, right? Am I wanting to do something more of what I love? Do I want to explore my passion? Are my passions changing? Are they transforming? Are they evolving? Do I want to be more challenged? What intention will you be happy to commit to? So you can put your hand on your heart and you can ask yourself, what am I really wanting to experience? That's the intention, right? That's kind of the umbrella term. The intention is the umbrella experience for which the action steps or whatever it is you're wanting to shift is going to take place. So maybe the intentions, I want more love, I want more connection, I want more fun, I want more creativity. So these are all intentions. If you set an intention that is heart-centered and that you are happy to commit to, it's going to be created in your life without you even thinking about it. The universe is just going to open doors because this is coming from the core of who you are and your soul. A lot of people set goals that are not in alignment with who they really are and what they really want. We set them all the time. We think, okay, well, if I buy this new item, then what? Then what? Then this is going to happen. There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things, but think about the core desire under it. All right, step 4, meditate on some ideas. So I would say sit in meditation, send out the question or the inquiry into the universe. Universe, I would like to experience more of this intention, more of this experience, these emotions. What would benefit me? What would help me to create or align me with the path of this intention? And just see if any ideas come to you. Write the first thing that comes to mind. Just write it down. So I say meditate on it because just because we meditate on ideas doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right one. I come up with ideas all the time. It doesn't mean it's the idea that I'm actually wanting to take action on. Sometimes, a lot of the times, we let our ego come up with ideas, right? So our ego's saying, well, if I want to create a successful business, then I'm going to have employees, a website, yada, yada, this, that, in order for it to be a success. When truly, success is just the path that is most in alignment with you when it comes to the intention of success. So meditate on it and just write down some ideas and see whatever comes to mind. Then from that space, you can also choose to act on the one that you feel most connected to. So let's say, for example, one of my goals was to enhance my communication skills. And at the time, I actually decided I did want to create a YouTube channel, and I put it on my vision board. And I was still trying to think about what I wanted. The funny thing is, before I even created this YouTube channel, I wrote down some things. And what's interesting is I did achieve all of what I wanted for my YouTube channel. So before I created this YouTube channel, for example, I wrote down all the goals. I was like, oh, okay, I'll probably do tarot on it. I can do something creative, fun, spiritual, healing, informative. So those are all of my intentions: creative, fun, spiritual, healing, informative. Those are my intentions. I don't go back to my vision board every day looking at, wait, what am I trying to create? These are things that are coming from the core of my being. These are things that I love. And when I'm experiencing the world, this is what I love witnessing in other people. This is what I love witnessing in myself. So these are all the things I enjoy experiencing. So I didn't have to go back to my vision board and think, wow, what was on my vision board? What was I trying to manifest again? I'm like, no, this is the core. I was just getting very clear with the universe. I was getting on the same page, making sure the universe was on the same page as me, and just being aware of what my energy field is trying to embrace and pull towards it here. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the inspired action. Now, the inspired action isn't necessarily going to come right away. This might come months later, weeks later, days later. I would invite you to meditate on it for at least a few days or even a week. And just see what comes to you intuitively. What are you feeling connected to? What are you feeling connected to? You can even envision yourself doing something. Be like, okay, what am I envisioning myself doing? What's the experience going to feel like? You can put yourself in place of having watched someone else do something similar to you. So perhaps you've seen someone do something that you like, and you're like, okay, let me imagine my version of that thing. I do that all the time. I'm just like, okay, this is how I would do it. This is how it would feel good for me. Okay, so step number 6 is to track your progress. I encourage you to create a vision board. I actually have multiple things. I have multiple boards around my house. I have things on my bathroom mirror. I have things on my refrigerator. I have things on my bulletin board. I have it everywhere. Am I looking at these things every day? No. I honestly will glance at probably 1 or 2 a week. The ones on my bathroom mirror, I definitely see every day. But I just put it around me because it just felt fun at the time. And they all have kind of different ideas, but they're all tied to the same intention. The same theme, the same intention. So track your progress. So one of the things that discourages people sometimes when they're pursuing their goal is they lose track of their progress. They don't see that they've grown. They don't see that they've improved. I would encourage you to, on a monthly basis, to track your progress from where you started and where you're at now. And to consistently do that each time and to reflect and review, how have I grown? What have I learned? Maybe you're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I grew that much, but you probably learned something. Like, oh, okay, I learned not to do that. I learned this enhances the quality of my videos. This enhances the quality of my communication skills. This is how I feel most comfortable when I'm doing it in this way, in this kind of setting. You learn something. So track your progress. The way I typically do this is through journaling. I'm an avid journaler. You'll see that you're making progress. And here's the thing, because you're a natural transcendent butterfly, you're most definitely are experiencing progress. You're definitely experiencing progress. And I can look back, honestly, a year ago, I'm definitely not the same person. Like, I had a different approach to how I do things. Different approach to how I do things. People don't say the same. It's impossible. It's impossible. So journal your progress. Track your progress. Journal your progress. Whatever is encouraging for you. Take the time to reflect. I used to do, I had a really cute planner before, and in my planner, I would put at the end of each month what I felt like I learned. I would have the goals set at the beginning of the month, and at the end of the month, I would be like, this is what I learned. So track your progress and see what you've learned and how you're growing. You have to acknowledge this because it is inherent in our ego. This is a natural part of our ego to be like, oh my gosh, I want to experience progress, but I'm not seeing anything and I'm feeling really impatient. And the whole time we're feeling impatient, we're dismissing the growth that we are creating in our lives. So really take the time to acknowledge it. The last tip I want to share, this is going to be just a final tip, is to create a routine. So anything you want to improve on requires routine. It requires consistent, diligent, and persistent effort. It's funny, like years ago I wrote that. I'm like, oh, I just want to learn how to be more persistent. And there are times where I'm just like, oh, I just want to give up on this. Like I'm struggling right now. There are things where experiences where I felt like that. And then I start to realize, just keep going. Just keep going, just keep going. It's become my foundation. So it doesn't matter if I spiral, if I feel like I'm failing, if I feel like it's the end of the world, I feel like I'm not getting any of my results or whatever that I've been wanting to achieve, that my ego so just craves. My base and my foundation is persistence. So I'm like, anything that challenges me, I push through no matter what. And I learned that I had the ability to do this when I had my darkest hours. In fact, I've probably had some more recently, but they don't last as long. But I used to have, I would say like 5-6 years ago, I had like a really dark, it was like a dark era of my life that woke me up. And I was constantly having breakdowns. And I was like, why? I didn't have the same guidance that I do now. Like now I'm like, oh, it's normal. Like it's normal whenever you're going through some kind of change. Whenever you're being challenged, it's normal to break down. It's normal to fall apart. It's normal to feel discouraged. But what do you do with that discouragement? What do you do with it? Do you give up or do you keep going? This was like my 5-year plan. I wrote this, oh my gosh, this was like 6-7 years ago. I wrote spontaneity. I wanted to be more spontaneous. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to eat healthier. I wanted to have a better relationship with my family. I wrote that I wanted to emotionally and spiritually invest. Oh, I said invest in my career. Oh, interesting. So I've always had that desire to want to be emotionally and spiritually connected to my career. Huh, interesting. And here I am spiritual coaching on my YouTube channel. Oh, look, I wrote confidence with people, learning how to work with people, speak to people, be around people. It says here, I wanted to improve on my literate and communication skills way before I joined my public speaking group. I wrote this down. So do you see that? I had this. I kept it. I kept it behind a photo in a frame. My list of goals. I kept it behind a photo on a frame. And I was just like, huh. And I actually forgot about it. I think I forgot about it for 2 years. And then I like pulled it out. It's like, oh, that was back there. So I like to keep these taped like in areas where I don't typically see it, because every time I like uncover them, I'm always blown away. And then I'm like, wow, I'm doing it. That's crazy. That's crazy. I wanted to strengthen my intuition, one of my goals. And one of my recent goals was I wanted my home to feel a lot more cozy. I wrote down a list of all the things I wanted to do to like clean. I was like, okay, I want to do this. I want to organize this. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I let that go for like a week. I was just doing back to life, doing things. And then I just got this urge. I'm like, I have to clean. And I just started getting up in the middle of the day, just randomly organizing random areas of my place. And I was just like, what the heck? What has come over me? We don't realize it's not always, we're setting the intention. You are the igniter. Okay? You're the igniter for change happening in your life. You're the changing agent. It cannot happen without you and your full participation and awareness of it. So to me, my full participation is set the intention. Set the intention, write down some ideas. That's it. You should see, I have about 4 of these journals here, or maybe 5. I write down all of my ideas. I'm like, whether I do them, take action on them or not, the more persistent I am in writing my ideas, the more it becomes a physical reality. It's just the case. These days, I try to make sure I do create something, especially if I'm getting an idea or inspiration in the moment. I'm like, okay, I need to do something with this energy because I'm feeling it right now. If I wait, I'm not going to be feeling it at that point in time. So people wait for motivation. I'm like, you feel it. Set the intention. The universe will tell you when and where. It will tell you when and where. And you'll just be like, okay, I have this idea to start doing this. I started following my intuition, doing these things, and I realized how natural it is for us to manifest and to follow inspired action. We do it without even thinking about it. That's why I'm a full believer of setting your intention. Because I'm telling you, these goals I set years ago. I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I'm wanting. This sounds like a great idea. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the technique. This is what my guides opened me up to. I'm so happy to be sharing this with you guys because I was kind of toggling back and forth between like what was happening, and I realized my guides were like, okay, this is what we're trying to show you. So these aren't new techniques by any means. They're not revolutionary, but in a way it's revolutionary for me because it clicked. And there are going to be moments in your life where you're trying to get something to click. You watch a million videos, you're trying to get motivated, and it's just not clicking. And then there's going to be a point in time where something just clicks. For me, these moments happen more often. So the first technique I'm going to talk about is what we do when we're spiraling or we're experiencing a lot of like negative thoughts or negative emotions. My guides told me you don't do anything with it. I've talked about this before, but I'm saying it loud, proud, and clearly right now. You don't have to do anything with it. I know we think a lot of negative thoughts. It's not you. I know we feel a lot of emotions. They're not you either. It's just fuel to the fire. It's just fuel to the fire. Intuition is clear, it's quiet. So that's where we want to follow our guidance. All of those thoughts that are bubbling up in there, the mind has a purpose, yes, but the mind is a computer. It is a computer. It is not emotional. So guess what? When you do get emotional and you start sending that emotion to your thoughts process, it's going to fuel it. And it's going to go faster. So what it does is, for some reason in my vision, I was seeing a floppy disk. Oh my God, I missed floppy disk from back in the day. So I was seeing a floppy disk put inside of a computer. And I'm like, basically, the floppy disk is the thoughts, right? And you put the floppy disk into the computer. The computer is feeding off of this program, these thoughts. And let's say you're coding or whatever, you're playing a game on that floppy disk, and you start typing faster and faster and faster. And these are your emotions. Your emotions are feeding into the program. The program is going quicker and quicker and quicker. That's all your mind is doing. It's just experiencing a faster and faster and faster process. So when we try to resist what's happening, we try to take the floppy disk out, we try to eject it, you're messing with the computer. It's not going to release the programming just because you want it to. It's like once you've fed that floppy disk into the computer, it's feeding off of that energy. It's feeding off of the energy. So what do? Do we panic? No, that's going to make it worse. You observe it. Just watch it. So when I was taking my coaching courses, some of the questions they used to ask is, what does it look like? What does it feel like? So why don't you name the emotion? Oh, it feels like, it looks like the color red. It feels like a hot tamale, something like, I don't know, spicy emotions. Just observe it, so you can start detaching from it. When you become the observer, now you are not the one in the game. So let's say you're the participant and you're thinking you're in the computer, you're locked in this game, all of these thoughts are going on, and you're like, I want to get out of this game. Well, guess what? Just by observing it, you became the player. And you're watching the program go on and unfold before your very eyes. What starts to happen, this happens every single time. What starts to happen as you're observing the emotion, the thoughts, it starts to dissipate on its own. You don't have to force yourself to think positive thoughts. It will dissipate on its own without you making it dissipate. You don't have to meditate it away. You don't have to force it away. Just watch it. That's it. So I was having like a spiral of thoughts the other day. I observed it, and immediately the thoughts went to something pleasant without me trying to think about it. And I was like, that is crazy. That's crazy. But we don't realize that sometimes because we're so involved in our thoughts and emotions, we don't realize that we're still the observer too. We're still the observer. You're under the illusion that you're the player in the game, but actually you're the one who's clicking the computer, right? Click, 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 type, type. So it will dissipate on its own without you doing anything. That's the miracle in and of itself. Some of us were so overwhelmed by our thoughts or feelings, and we're like, I'm not going to say like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be in peaceful all the time, and I'm never going to experience these negative thoughts. Of course, we will have negative thoughts. Of course. It's just the way that the programming works. You just want to be aware of whether you're feeding it momentum or not. So that's part one. Observe, let it dissipate on its own. Don't try to make it dissipate. Just let it. Let it dissipate. Let it do what it wants to do. And then, whenever you're feeling any kind of lack, so why do most of us panic? Why do we freak out? Why do we worry? Because we feel like we're missing something. You're not missing anything. You're never missing anything. We're under the illusion that we have to go like, oh, I need a new this, a new that to like feel good, right? We're like, no, we are the co-creator of our realities. We can experience whatever we want, and you absolutely deserve to. You're worthy of it. You're worthy of it. You can't attract abundance when you're experiencing lack. You can't attract peace when you're experiencing chaos. It's just, you're not an energetic match. How do we become energetic matches? How do we do that? I've never experienced this before. I've never experienced the amount of abundance that I desire for my life. I've never experienced that. Like, how do I give that? You use your imagination. You use your imagination. You do whatever you visualize and you imagine whatever you need to enrich your inner reality, your inner experience. This body is a magical instrument. When you go inward, you can show it, you can teach it abundance. How do we show? How do we teach? We plug into our imagination. Our imagination is plugged into the universe. Now, I know all of the years that you've lived on this earth that you have not, don't go pretending like you don't know what abundance in your view looks like or feels like. Don't tell me you don't know. You've watched a ton of movies. You've watched people live their lives and make decisions. You've seen people who are actually fulfilled and happy. Don't go telling me you don't know how to do it, because it's a lie. You have an idea of how to create it. You have an idea. So visualize it. Visualize it. What this channel is about is it's about helping you with your transformation. You have to go inwards to imagine and visualize the reality you want to be aligned with and that you want to experience. The universe cannot give it to you unless you're an energetic match for it. Does this mean it has to be perfect? No. I just sit there and I imagine whatever it feels good. And whenever I experience that lack, I let my mind quiet, I get to neutral, and then I start to infuse my imagination. I start to build, I start to visualize whatever comes to mind. When it comes to, okay, this is my idea of abundance. All right, now I'm filled with the experience of abundance. I'm not an energetic match for lack. I'm not an energetic match for lack. I'm an energetic match for abundance. The mind is a program. Your subconscious thoughts are a program. It runs on automatic. If you do not feed it different ideas and normalize it, make it a routine or a habit, it has no idea what you're talking about. It is not emotional. And so a lot of people give up because they get emotional about the fact that things aren't changing. Things aren't changing, or they feel like, I don't know what to do. Use your imagination. What your imagination is going to teach you how to do is to believe in yourself. So, when I started doing speeches in my first year and a half or so, I would imagine myself all the time just coming up and giving speeches because I'm like, it felt so fun. It was invigorating. I was on a high. Every time I was in front of an audience, I was just like, this is such a high. This feels so good. I love it. I've captured my audience. I know when people are watching me, they know I'm having fun, and I know they're thinking, some of them are thinking, I want to do what she's doing. I want to feel that way too. I know that because I look in their eyes and I can tell, and I've gotten feedback. I know they're excited. I know they're just like hanging on to my words at times, and it feels good. But before I started doing it, I imagined myself doing it. I practiced it by myself in my room, just practice. And then I started doing it. And then I did it again. And then I did it again. And I did it again. And I did it again. And I would have to say, I don't know how many speeches I've done up until now. Maybe 40? 40 speeches, and 200 videos later, here I am. Routine. I've automated. Not only that, I'm having fun every single time that I do one. I make sure I mentally prepare and emotionally prepare. Sometimes I just jump in. I'm just like, I wasn't prepared at all. But, sometimes I mentally prepare and I emotionally prepare for what I'm going to start doing. So feed into that experience. Your imagination is powerful. When I was reading that book, I wasn't reading. I think I was listening to the audiobook of Think and Grow Rich. My favorite chapter was the one about imagination because I was like, ooh, I can do that. I got an imagination and I love it. I'm like, whatever you imagine is whatever you can. Like, no one can tell you what to imagine. No one can get in your head and be like, you're not allowed to think that thought. You're not allowed to desire that or desire that or desire that. Start having fun. Imagining what it is you want. What it is you want to experience. And I'm telling you, you will be blown away how powerful your energy magnetizes to you the things that you desire. Your thoughts and your feelings are drawing to the reality that you want. But the most powerful thoughts are the positive ones. Negative thoughts, negative emotions are very dense and they're very slow. Or how should I say this? Let's just say it's just very dense, very heavy, very weighty. And we can't sit in that space for very long. Otherwise, we become very depressed and very unhappy. And we're actually allergic to that. In order to be depressed or stay in a state of depression, you have to constantly feed yourself negative thoughts. You have to constantly look for everything that's going wrong in your life and in this world. That's how to stay depressed. That's how the mind works, but that's also how programming works. Here. So, if you feel frustrated about the program that you fed into this computer programming, and you're like, I don't like this program, I want a different program, well, start to observe. Start to observe and start to detach from the programming, here, the story, whatever is going on, the thoughts that's going on, and create a different reality. I've talked about this on my channel. Let me just end with this final story. So there's a time where I was around a lot of people's energy who I wanted to change. I was like, this doesn't feel good. I just feel like I need something different. Some more positivity around me, around my life, around my energy. That's what I want to be around. And so I started hermiting. I started pulling my energy away from those people. And then when I was alone, I would just meditate and sink into the energy of peace and kind of envision myself in a different place, different location, different job, whatever. And then it happened. And then it just kind of happened. So I would just envision myself doing it. I'm like, okay, it's going to happen. I trust it. Let me just do my work. So sometimes we forget about the daily maintenance that goes into manifesting our dreams and our desires. And I'm not saying you have to visualize it all the time. I'm just saying if you're experiencing lack, you can go in your imagination to dispense it. Lack of anything, you can go in your imagination to dispense it. You have a fear, go in your imagination and cleanse it, clear it. It's powerful. And more importantly, the universe is designed to guide you, to help you, to encourage you. So if you need it, call it to you. Call that guidance to you. Call that encouragement to you. Prayer works. It really does. So ask for guidance. That's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like, subscribe to support. Please let me know what you were thinking. Please let me know what's going on in your life. Thank you guys so much. Bye.